Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome. And this is a conversation I've been waiting to have. And here's the promise that we'll continue to have these conversations regularly now that we've got hold of Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey. Sir, Namaste, Jai Hind, and congratulations on yet another effort, reflections on strategy, applied strategy through the lens of a practitioner. But इस पर आज नहीं बात करेंगे. What we'll focus on is another very interesting essay that you penned on military history. And I want to understand where you came from and the context of you writing this. More importantly, and more with the fact that where we are today geopolitically as a nation, the kind of conflicts that we may have to engage in the near future, or the wars that we need to be prepared for. And clearly, Operation Sindoor opens up a whole new dynamic. Iran, Israel, and the recent conflicts, Russia, Ukraine, have different learnings, the way conflicts are moving through, or perhaps the threshold lines are being deferred and all of that, in my limited understanding. So I'm going to ask you the concept of military history, what's your argument there, and what are the learnings that we can take forward?
There are 2-3 things I will start. Firstly, it's great to be on this show. And if we are going to be doing this show often, I think I need to start reading a lot, right? But that will keep me engaged. But let's very quickly come down to history. A lot of people feel that we need to look only at future. But time and again, you have to reflect back on history because it's so important to draw lessons from it. Unfortunately, the human mind, a cultural focus of people, generally remains same centuries after centuries. So when I look back history of our country, civilizational history, our people in Bharat subcontinent have always been quite satisfied, laid back, actually not stepping out of the comfort of Himalayas in the north and the oceans all around except for trade and cultural facet. And as they prospered, we always been knocked from variety of competition or conflicts from all our borders. So if you don't look back in detail, you will not understand where our weaknesses are. What are our strengths? And therefore you cannot start focusing on the current or in the future environment. So there is one part. But what also happens is very quickly in our case, especially I look at Indian military, we fight the last war and we prepare for the last war, which is something very, very naive. And this has not happened post-independence. This has happened for thousands of years of war fighting. Every time we have prepared for the previous war. And the enemy, when he's come, the enemies in the north and the west have been survivors, right? They have been denied either freedom or the richness which our country actually gets. Therefore, every time when they come, they revise their strategy, they revise their weapon system. And they, after having been defeated a number of times, they'll go back, lick the wounds, and then come back again. So if you hear of Ghoris, Ghaznavis, you realize that they'll go 16 times beaten, but they will come back on 17th time and they will win.
ये दुश्मन पलट के जरूर आता है एक बार.
पलट के आता है because ऐसा है कि हमारे देश के अंदर कुछ है जो खींचता है. ठीक है. It is not only about the resources. It is not about the richness. It is not about the human and other resources. But it is also, I think, an ideological hotspot in which religion will come, different cultures will come. They will stand defeated, go back. But they will keep on coming back till the time they encroach into our this thing. So this is something which I have found it very unique. And time and again, if I have to reflect in my plans future, right, even as when you go to a new appointment in army, very quickly you look back, what was happening before? What are the lessons? Everything is on the file or in the experience of previous commanders. Where did they succeed and why did they fail? When you very quickly draw out those lessons, then you find the strength and opportunities. And thereafter, as a military practitioner, you start rolling down the plans for the future. And then you draw the context and possibly the emerging context, which is going to be happening in the future, and incorporate it to your plans, and thereafter you roll out. So it's very important. We should not draw a lesson to fight the last war. But we must find the lessons, strengths, weakness, everything. And then we should look at the current context and what is emerging in the future. And quickly adapt all those lessons into planning for future. So that is why history is absolutely imperative for us to go back.
So, but I'm not even going to before our freedom, okay? Because there is a lot. How far back do you want to go? We go up to Mahabharata, or should we go further back to Ramayana and the wars that were fought and how they were fought, the strategies, viewers, everything? There is so much to learn. But in the modern day context, Bharat has seen multiple conflicts, multiple wars since its independence in 1947. Do you think we have learned from those? Or did we think that's the last one? So let's move on and let's hope we don't have another one. Or has that attitude changed now?
So actually, the first learning came to us in 1962.
Huh.
Right? 47, 48 happened in a ziffy. Right? We were exactly transitioning from a British Indian military to a modern post-independent armed forces, which are getting divided and segregated. But you look at the response. You know, you got whistled up to launch an air-landed operation, first ever in the world post-World War II, to be conducted within 3 months. We got independence 15th August, and on 27th of October, which is just going to come around the corner, within 3 months, we are carrying out air-landed operations on a airstrip which was unknown, right, by the troops who had not carried out operations in that area. You barely had no maps, you had no contacts on the ground, but you were rolling out against an unknown enemy without much of a briefing. And we achieved success. So what does it speak about? It speaks about one thing, that firstly, somewhere our Indian military, political leadership, bureaucratic system has ensured that we will be reactive, responsive, right? We will be always be ill prepared. And now you go for all operations, except for 1971. In all operations, we are whistled up and we are launched into operations.
So reactive, responsive.
So, right. So, who is at fault? I have find not only the political dispensation at fault, not only the national security strategic community, which comprises of CCS or currently the NSA or intelligence community and everybody at fault. But I think there is some gap in our system of learning, in our own military, which remains so tactical for 25 to 30 years, and your transition to an operational realm, only 5, 6 years, and very few people come. And they know exactly that they are going to serve for another 2 years and another 2 years, and thereafter they'll go out. So the desire and the quest of knowledge to start reading the leaves in the air, you know, what is going to come, when is going to shock you, right? So you don't prepare. And second is, even if you want to prepare, you are not wanting to discuss about it. And that comes very culturally. Indians are very, very blind to the problems which are coming out. You look at Bengal files, you look at Kashmir files. The people who are going to be butchered and killed kept on trying to ignore the problem for tomorrow. It will not happen today. That is cultural. That is cultural. And that is something like when I was a commandant of War College, I tried to change that. My belief is that you start learning about strategy as young as possible. And strategy talks of looking into the future. Right? So I think the first learning curve came to us in 62 when we really got shocked very brutally. And by the time we came to 65, we were balanced out a little bit because we were on the changing curve. And then, thank God for a general like Sam Monikshaw. Possibly he put his foot down on the orders of Madam Gandhi. And I also, at times, I like to give a lot of credit to the lady because she took that stand and accepted that stand, right? She could, knowing her style of function, she would have just removed Sam and then got somebody else. But you know, she was very astute to have agreed to the delay and all. And thereafter came out to be history. And again, after 1971, the moment we won, we forgot all about our history, right? What was that? We gave in to Shimla Agreement without actually standing our pound of flesh. I told you that the enemy will always keep on knocking at your doors. So we should have remembered Prithviraj Chauhan let the enemy get away.
And see, he came back.
And then when he came back and he found that weakness, he killed Prithviraj, right? He did not spare through generosity.
There is no righteousness, there is no generosity in all of this.
Please understand,
दुश्मन
that
तो
is,
नहीं
there are
समझता.
no morality when the two nations are competing, when two societies clash, when two. So, somewhere we did not learn our lesson, and again, it is naivety. The naivety was with Nehru. After all the strong arm leadership of Madam Indira Gandhi, we let go of the opportunity which was there. We should have actually done enough with those systems which we had in place, the tools which we had in place. So you look at this keeps on repeating,
Yeah.
right? 1999, we got shocked, surprised. Look at Galwan, we got surprised. Look at Doklam, we got surprised. So why is it we are getting surprised? Because somewhere in our senior leadership, when I say senior leadership, it's not only about military. It's all about our bureaucratic systems and our intelligence system. We try to ignore and push it for tomorrow, right?
ये अभी
And
नहीं हो रहा, नहीं करेगा, नहीं करेगा,
नहीं
नहीं
करेगा,
होगा, नहीं
हाँ,
होगा.
manage कर लेंगे.
Manage कर लेंगे.
You look at our own Prime Minister, the number of times he hugged Xi Jinping, right? But yet, he also got stabbed on the back. I'm sure he was aware, but he was still trying, right? You look at his, every Prime Minister when he comes new, reaches out to Pakistan, right? So he came, he went to Lahore. Atal Bihari Vajpayee went across. Manmohan Singh shook hand with Yasin Malik and everything. You please understand, this nations are revisionist. Indians, Bharatiyas are not.
No.
We are so content with the riches which we have, right? That we are unwise, that we don't look at these lessons of how nations fight. So what happened? Passivity will always get you first killed, and our people have always responded. Our soldiers will always respond, right? But where is the leadership, political, bureaucratic, military or strategic leadership, that when you get slaughtered and then you achieve success? The best is that you let the enemy die for their own cause, right? So somewhere I am a proponent of proactiveness. Never be reactive. Passivity will always ensure that you become so slowly entrenched. The response takes that much of
More
a
time.
time, right?
Because we are not quick on our feet.
Yeah.
We are on our heels. We are
Correct.
not on our toes.
So inertia will always leaden your legs. So I think there is one very important lesson we have to take. The other part I think which we don't understand is how to keep on adopting new things. We become very comfortable. And again, it is in the nature. In that book, I have written an article on which what happens is that for 15, 20 years, at the tactical level, as a company commander, as a young officer, as a JCO, we have to practice tactics, techniques, and procedures because these are life-saving drills, right? These are responses to enemy's action. It is very important that my right man, left man, front guy, everybody knows जब फायर खुलेगा तो क्या करना है, right? And this knife edge needs to be very, very sharp and precise to be able to breach the thing. But what happens is knife edge continues to be sharpened for about 10 years, 15 years, right? So we also become very comfortable in our tactical actions, right? And suddenly you transition at about 20, 25 years when you become a brigadier and beyond into the realm of strategic thinking. It's very difficult to start thinking about strategy, right? The bigger games, which is not 0 and 1. Tactical realm is 0 and 1. Mera dost, mera dushman, right? But the grey zone starts at that level when the war fighting becomes diffuse and much more difficult, where the political, diplomatic, economic realms start coming in. And that is the time is very difficult because you're comfortable of maneuvers,
correct,
which you have learned.
Correct.
Now suddenly you're not able to realize that drones have come. So, I must tell you, drones have not come today. Drones came about 15 years back. You must have seen number of movies which are being made by the Americans that drones are flying thousands of kilometers abroad and they are carrying out a missile strike and stuff like that. Why did we not start looking at it much more away.
Much more.
Okay, let's say we were.
वो हमारे यहाँ नहीं आएगा. We didn't think कि हम क्यों नहीं इसका, why don't we bring it here?
That will only come when you're revisionist.
Yeah.
When your mind is thinking in a crooked manner, your innovative imagination. We shut down in our training system of innovation imagination. It was compulsory so that you start bonding together, you respond to react. ज़्यादा सोचोगे तो मारे जाओगे, ठीक है. But after 5, 6, 10 years आपको ज़्यादा सोचना पड़ता है, right?
एक लेवल के बाद आपको सोचना पड़ता है. You have to start thinking.
Yeah, you have to be crooked. Deceit is not set in our mind for operation, right? And if you're deceitful, you'll start looking at newer ways to deceive the enemy. Whereas you look at Chinese and the Pakistanis, or you look at the cultural philosophies they have adopted, lies, deceit, deception is the way they move forward. It is second normal, this thing. Not only to them, the Western world, everywhere. While they will be talking of human rights violation to everybody, but they will be committing murderous human rights violations in Africa, where they will kill people through mercenaries and everything.
Correct.
Right? So आपको सिखाएंगे कुछ, करेंगे कुछ. Right? But we don't. So when we are not looking at it, you imagine Azerbaijan, Armenia happened. Within 4 years or 5 years, we should have an array of variety of drone systems. We are still only talking about it. And I use a word very frequently. We seminar debate it to death.
Yeah.
But when it comes to induction, our processes help us, stop us. So, military history in the contemporary world must teach us that the next war is not going to be now with the drones only. There will be something much more sinister which will come about.
Yeah.
So here there is a rush only to drone, small, big, large.
Yeah. We're not moving to the next one. What's beyond drones?
What's beyond? So ये तो है आपके पास में. So there is a system which, while we talk in the army, that the current system, which is an old system, should you can't just shift everything to D1.
Yeah.
Then
no, the old system will continue to play its role.
Yeah.
Like the guns played their roles during Operation Sindoor.
Correct.
So those
even in the Russian-Ukraine war, guns are after all
guns are playing their gun. But drones are also doing their job. Yeah. There's a new dynamic. There is a new.
This is a very beautiful thing which you have added. Another thing which we are not able to understand, modernization. When we say modernization, in modernization we start thinking कि वो hand-to-hand combat अभी नहीं होगा. हम दोनों यहाँ बैठेंगे, मैं तुमको ड्रोन से मारूंगा, तुम मुझे ड्रोन से मारोगे. Right? Eventually, the character of war, right, in terms of its brutality, it will always remain. It is not that drones will fight against drones. It is not that tanks will fight against tanks. The tanks can also fight against that human being. Right? The tanks can also fight against things. So, you will have layers and layers which will keep on adding on, and that is what it will become making warfare so challenging.
Yeah.
So you can't say that brute force of a soldier is not going to come into play. It will. So rifle will be sharpened. But you'll have snipers.
But General Sahab, this has been a concept since times immemorial.
Yeah.
Because in our Itihasa, Ramayana, Mahabharata, we talk about the concept of Astra and Shastra. So there is a Yantrakar also, so somebody who's a engineer or somebody who's making something new. And they're all using, first they use all their astras. That means they'll fight from a distance. At the end, they'll say it's hand-to-hand combat, shastra uthao, and you'll have to fight in person. So eventually it will come there, although we'll add far many more layers to avoid using hand-to-hand combat.
Absolutely. But last mein,
वो तो आएगा ही.
वो आएगा ही आएगा, right? And this will lead to something which I'll talk later on. What is my historical standpoint, which we need to start preparing our country. So the layers are adding. So now you had guns. Now over that you got good aircraft systems. You got standoff munitions. You got number of other things that are happening. Now what is wrapping around? You got the cyberspace.
Yeah. Data.
You got the mind space management, right? All these things look very unethical to us. Strategic communication, why should I play with his mind? No, why should we get into the fault line? Why should we support Balochistan? No, अच्छा नहीं लगता. ठीक है? There is nothing called अच्छा नहीं लगता, because that person, after today, Pakistan will sort of Balochistan and then be the front of America and China to be again troubling you. Right?
Yeah.
So we should have ensured in last 15, 20 years, 30 years, investment in Balochistan, that it, frees up. After all, it's a land of free, different people. But again, this is not, a lot of time we think this is the political realm. When you talk of national security, everybody has to join hands.
Yeah, there is no individual silo.
You can't say.
It's all mixed with each other, you know.
So
it's
while
all together,
politician
correct.
is busy fighting his political war onto the streets and with the public and voting and everything, the bureaucracy is pushing the file. Which is the animal which is totally free to think about all this thing? It is the military.
Military.
So the top leadership should be only thinking and talking and recommending to the politician that we need to keep our fingers into each pie so that which one has to be used. Okay, not in the world, I guess. Okay, but within your region.
Yeah, in your domain.
In your domain,
In that
you know.
theater of action you have to have.
And that is why you need to go back to Chanakya. दुश्मन का नेबर से दोस्ती बना के रखो. Right? The important lesson which comes from the history and for us is that your neighbors can never be your long-term friends.
Correct.
Because there will be a king, there will be a government who will use the competition between big brother or the smaller one.
Yeah.
Right? So that he can remain in power. And if he doesn't use this, his competition will come, who will create reasons for him to be displaced. You look at Bangladesh, you look at Pakistan. More rhetoric against India will get you more votes.
More votes.
Right? So this is a norm which has not been there today. It is historically established by Chanakya. But we want to reach Sun Tzu only. Which Sun Tzu and Clausewitz are product of different cultural nuances. Which we must know.
Yeah.
I must know what Sun Tzu is saying to understand how Chinese are going to operate, because Chinese will operate as per Sun Tzu's time. It is their cultural this thing. So a lot of time people ask me question, नहीं आप ये चाणक्य क्यों करते रहते हो? मैं कह रहा ये चाणक्य ही नहीं, हमको चोला सबसे सीखना पड़ेगा. We need to learn from our own cultural influences how to protect ourselves. Because those chaps who have written our books or itihas or epics, they are the people who have understood how culturally we behave.
Yeah.
Right? So for Bharatiya, dharma war is important. Right? So this is what we don't understand. Right? We look at Kali Ma and Durga Ma and Saraswati for prayers. And when we are in trouble, then we look at them and say कि आप आओ जाओ हमको बचाने के लिए along with their तलवार शलवार. Right? But they are telling us
खुद लड़ो.
नहीं, वो अपने हाथों में हथियार पकड़ा उन्होंने. कहते हैं इसका इस्तेमाल कर. Right? But like सरस्वती के पास आप जब माथा टेकते हो पढ़ाई के लिए एग्जाम से पहले, does it mean कि आपको पढ़ना नहीं है? वो किताब लेके बता रही है भाई पढ़ो. ठीक है, लक्ष्मी माँ कह रही है लक्ष्मी के लिए आप काम करो.
Work.
Right? Similarly, Kali Ma is also telling us that kindly use weapons of संहार करो. But आप रोते रोते जाते हो कि भाई दुश्मन हमारे ऊपर आ गया हमको बचा लो. They can't come down to, they can only guide you.
Yeah, but they say कि my script, my understanding is limited, but they say हमारे देवी देवताओं को 4 हाथ में दिखाते हैं ना सर. तो it is supposed to be पुरुषार्थ के 4 pillars, 4 स्तंभ, धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष. That's why the 4 hands. पर उनके हाथ में जो दिया है, हर किसी के हाथ में कोई ना कोई आयुध होगा. So that is because you cannot have peace, you cannot have wisdom, you cannot have knowledge till the time you know how to safeguard it, or till the time how you know how to fight to establish peace, establish dharma and establish knowledge. So you have to use knowledge, you have to use your purushartha, all the 4 pillars of purushartha along with the shastra or this ayudha in your hand to be able, it's a collective, it cannot be one without the other. So that's another point. Historically, our devatas or our deities, our ishtadevs never have had ayudha.
I was watching this Bengal files and I realized that look at how silly. आप सब जमीन पे लेट रहे हो, काली माँ बचा दो, बट आप काली माँ ने बोला है हाथ उठाओ, बट आप उठाना नहीं चाहिए. Till the time you don't fight back.
वो कहीं दिमाग में बिठा दिया ना, उसी दुश्मन ने जो वापस आया, उसी रिविजनिस्ट ने किसी तरह से हमारे दिमाग में बिठा दिया कि तुम्हारे लिए सिर्फ अहिंसा परमो धर्म है.
Absolutely.
लेकिन कृष्ण ने भी जब कहा कि अहिंसा परमो धर्म है, ऊपर उस धर्म की स्थापना करने के लिए संभवामि योगे योगे अभ्युत्थानम अधर्मस्य, तो he has also said that. So
look at how this is where again our discourse must be, where history should dictate your future. Like our Prime Minister says, Vasudeva Kudambakam. Right? that is his place to stay. He's talking at the global level. He's talking at projecting at this thing. But should the military start thinking that way? सब कुछ भाईचारे में रहेंगे. No, military has to be prepared. So when he talks of Viksit Bharat, right? Eventually in 2047, is Viksit Bharat without a Surakshit Bharat possible?
No, not at all.
So these are two very, very important pillars which we need to understand. And these two pillars are very, very co-jointly joined. You know, जब दो पिलर होते हैं उनको strong करने के लिए you have those thing which we join linkages. Those linkages are on technology.
Correct.
So with each new technology and possibility of new emerging technology, which we need to incorporate, your entire processes have to go change.
Correct.
So even our military, I'm talking about as a military, as a soldier, I know drones are coming. So kamikaze drones will come. If kamikaze drones will come, my TTP processes need to change. And therefore my structures need to change. And these structures need to change right down to the lowest level so that the soldier, when the chief says, General Devedi says, Chief of Army Staff, each soldier should be having that on his shoulder a drone, that eagle bars to act, you know. It has got a meaning not only philosophically, but it's got a literal sense of application that today the soldier needs to carry his hand-to-hand combat drills to a weapon, to some degree of specialization. He should be able to strategically communicate, but he should be able to hand technology in his hand so that he can watch what the enemy is doing and, if possible, destroy him before he comes. And therefore, it becomes incumbent to read these guidance from our subordinate leaderships to start applying and changing those
roles.
Right.
So General Sir, what we're going to do is, we're going to pause here, viewers, on this aspect that our military history is something that we need to learn from, so that we don't prepare for a war that's already happened, but we prepare for the future. A Viksit Bharat is not possible without a Sashakt Bharat or a Sudrid Bharat. Now, what are the learnings from Operation Sindoor? And what have others learnt about us? And how are they going to game the future conflicts? That's the next edition of this conversation, where we get the right perspective on defense with Lieutenant General T.P. Pandey. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Namaste.